November 5th, 2019, in which we have a Mars square Pluto aspect that occurred a few hours ago today in degree frequency 21. Degree frequencies are something new to astrology that were channeled by Elias Lonsdale about 15 years ago that have to do with the number of the degree rather than the sign of the degree. And that's what's new. Nobody's ever done that before. And when you have two powerful planets like Mars and Pluto in a square, that particular number, which in this case is frequency 21, sets up a strong imperative, a destiny imperative. And in this case, the destiny imperative has to do with busting the impostor that has taken over human consciousness and bringing on the authentic camaraderie of the soul. So this means that there's a demand, there's a summons that's becoming exacerbated by the square. Mars is the life force itself. Pluto is the need to destroy what gets in the way of true life, true love. There's a particular school of astrology that recognizes Pluto as the love planet, as the most loving of all planets, in its relentlessness to destroy whatever is preventing love from happening. So when Mars squares Pluto, which is a challenging aspect, the life force itself is being summoned to act in service of love, self-love, love for others, love for the world, love for evolution. And what's in the way of this happening is the false human being that has taken over our consciousness, taken over our world, taken over our politics. And so this is the destiny imperative to become so authentically embodied, so engaged in being who you really are at core, that imposter no longer is in control. Now, what this means is becoming aware of the part of self and other that is acting out something other than the deeper truth of the soul. It's not always easy to spot that, mostly because we become habituated to creating a persona that runs the show. Society excels in producing personas so that people put on a mask, put on a costume, go into work, go into love, go into sex, go into politics. And then become so habituated to the self that they have cultivated that they don't even realize that they're in the masquerade. They don't even realize they're wearing a costume. This imposter self is destroying the world. And underneath it is something authentic that wants to happen. And when Mars squares Pluto, you need to build up a huge craving for something real, something that frees the life force rather than traps it. Mars is the great champion of evolution. Mars senses that there's this path, and the path needs champions to stand for the growth edge where, come on, let's stop pretending that we're these measly little critters who have to get pushed around by these big giant forces. Let's wake up and realize that you have enough power inside you to power a galaxy. You're a giant. You're a towering inferno of desire. And what that desire wants is something real, something true, something based on love rather than bullshit. And this is what the soul of humanity is craving, because we're sick to death of the lies, the twisted rationale, the delusions. And to wake up to the imposter self means waking up to the part of yourself that would settle for less. It means waking up to the imposter in others, which I don't know why, but millions of people seem to be incapable of recognizing when politicians and leaders are lying to them. It just seems like, how did the human race take this wrong turn from being the love that it is to becoming enslaved to falsehood? And so there's an imperative with Mars squaring Pluto to get down in to what feels good, what's real, what Mars, especially now with Mars in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn, Mars in Libra is wanting to catalyze that force of humanity that knows it's here for something more than keeping the old machine going. You were not born to maintain the status quo, because the status quo has become delusional and suicidal. This is the time to take the great risk that something authentic can emerge out of something artificial. And the something artificial is the last gasp of a false civilization. Our civilization is dying, and thank God, thank the goddess, because it was pretty screwy all along. It's just that the underlying rottenness of it is coming out. And so the tremendous unrest that's spreading through the world is the only chance we have. This is not the time to be talked back in to mediocrity and complacency. Oh, don't get so upset. Don't get so hot under the collar. Don't get so angry. Come on. I perceive those voices as the voices of trying to lure passengers back onto the Titanic. This is the time to become enraged. This is the time to become committed to something deep and true and real and loving emerging from the masquerade as it crumbles. The summons of Mars square Pluto in frequency 21 is the summons to take off your mask, to dare yourself to be raw, to be vulnerable, to be open, to be alive, to claiming the evolutionary channel that your soul has been aimed at in life after life, that you are here to be the love that you are. You are not here to compromise and keep things going, because things have to stop going, because the direction they're going in is destroying the only chance at the bright future that we have. The bright future is waking up inside you, your life force, your Shakti, your chi, your eros, your passion, your lust is waking up to come in, to be alive, to light the torch, to shine a light into the bizarre mirror world our culture has gotten trapped in. Bizarre, twisted reflections of a beautiful species that has never woken up to find out what it's truly made of. One way to catalyze the awakening is to pick another human being to get real with. The authentic camaraderie of the soul increases exponentially when you open a channel for speaking your truth with one other person. This is the Mars in Libra method. This is the living improvisational art of meeting another in a truth stream. What Sufis call Sobet. Rumi meeting Shams on the road. The urge, the yearning for higher truth meeting the lust of the soul to become alive. Where one person meets another in truth, the world changes. The authentic camaraderie of the soul is the antidote for this bizarre delusion that has set in to our society, and especially to our media. Mainstream media has become the method by which corporations brainwash people into holding themselves back from being the love that they are. We need a mass media of the soul in response to that. We need the tribal drum beat. We need the awakening ripple of, for God's sake, be who you are. Come on. Get the love. Wake up the child and scream it from the top of the mountains that you are alive, that you are real, that you count, that you matter, and that there is another way. It's the channel of communication, direct communication, where you beam the inner joy of your soul out into one other person, or even an animal, or a tree, or a planet, that this is your time, that you are born to be true to yourself. You have a creative source within you, deeper than the superficial madness of our time. When you activate that creative source within you, you light up a beacon that broadcasts the wavelength that another one has broken out. Another one is liberating. Another one is waking up. And that force is contagious. I saw it happen in the 1960s. It was a contagious force of, I am here and I see you and I am alive and let's do it. Let's claim the lives we were born for. Let us not cow and bow and crawl back into the media saturated prisons of our time. That force of sinewed Mars willpower to connect with one being in such a truth channel that it changes the world is the force that will light up the channel of evolution. It's visceral, tangible. It's in your organs. It's in your belly. It's the urge to become ignited with radiant power that Earth and universe wholly support. You're a child of the universe. You are made of stars, literally. The iron in your blood came from white dwarf stars that exploded on the other side of the galaxy. That's why we have iron on Earth. That's why you have blood, because you're made of stars. When we claim our true identity as a citizen of the cosmos, we grow so big that we dwarf all the limitations of the collective mind of our time. Oh, don't get angry. Oh, don't be mad. Oh, don't go off. Don't be dramatic. Just close your eyes halfway and stop making waves. And the Mars square Pluto is fuck that. You are here to make waves. You are here to be true to yourself. You are here to champion love. You are here to believe in something powerfully regenerative. And the eyes of a child can see through the lies of the politicians of our time. Somewhere after the 1960s, Western civilization got caught in a bad acid trip. And that has led us to this bizarre situation where we have forgotten the love that we are. When you remember the love that you are, you stimulate your core nature to move toward the things you love and cherish and move away from the things that are dimming your light and destroying you. To do this requires healing our instincts, because humanity has become a species of damaged instincts. We have gotten trained like seals performing in a circus to jump through hoops that have nothing whatsoever to do with who we really are. That's damaged instincts. When you claim the love, champion your creative source, you repair damaged instincts. You embody the state of a person undivided rather than fragmented and cut apart. This is the stitching together of the species. And love is the wire. Love is the cord. Love is stitching us together. Authentic camaraderie of the soul can be as simple as daring yourself to candidly claim your place on earth and speak your truth. It's quite astonishing what happens when two or more people get together to sit in a circle and speak truth with each other. It doesn't matter if it's earth-shaking, grandiose, dramatic truths or simple, little personal truths like I feel embarrassed or it's so good to see you or how can I help? This simple but very powerful way of relating is always available to you. It treats yourself and others with a dignity and a respect that we're all sharing this time and space on earth. The most basic version of authentic camaraderie is I'm here and I see you. I'm here. I'm here. I am here and I see you. I see you. That is the mystical but incredibly basic power of human relationship to change the world. You cannot get any more primal and foundational than the square root of I am here and I see you. Because that acknowledges your embodied presence. I, as a being, with all my own idiosyncratic, crazy, erratic trips and psychological misfortunes and past life karmas, I'm still here. I am here. And what's more than that, you are too. And I see you. And that's a moment. That's a moment. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. You have made it through whatever crazy, daunting, reincarnational, bizarre trials and tribulations to arrive in the present moment. Hallelujah. That is a celebration that you're here, that you're alive. You're on this side of the veil. You're in the body. Someday you won't be. You'll die. You'll release your physical self, but you're here. And while you're here, I am witnessing. I am seeing you. And when you develop the art of I am here and I see you, you're reducing the hyper complexity of modern situations down to a beautiful ground of a basic platform that you can come from. The energy expands. It doesn't sound like a miraculous, mystical, world-changing superpower. But at a time of tremendous falsehood and lies and delusion, it is a superpower. To claim your beingness, until you claim the I am here, your body is contested territory. Your psychic space is filled with parasites, thought forms, energies that don't belong to you. Hitchhikers that turn you into a hunchback. They'll cripple you. But when you claim I am here, you evict parasitic psychic thought forms and energies, and your body and your psychic space is no longer contested territory because you're owning it. You're inhabiting it. It's making the assertion that it's worth being here. It's so worth being here that I am. and that turns the tide of the anti-beingness 1984 twisted culture that has taken over, that teaches us that truth is lies and lies are truth and up is down and left is right. You untwist the twists by claiming your right to be here. That's my right, to embody my presence, to claim my embodied awareness here in this space is my right. And it's an art. It takes developing and trusting and exploring. And it gives yourself and Earth and our time the great benefit of the doubt that it's worth inhabiting. That eats away at the anti-life equation, the anti-love politics and culture. That eats away at the taboo against being the tremendous love that you are, simply by claiming your here-ness. The and I see you part opens the field so that I am not just here as an isolated alien from everything else. I am here with everything else. And I get to experience all that's here when I embody my own full presence in it. Because you're the center of your solar system. When you claim that, you radiate. You push back the taboos against being fully alive. It's a revolution, and it becomes a revolution of two when it's I am here and I see you. Because I can't fully know what your experience is or how it may differ from mine. All I can do is show up. And if I pull that off, keep showing up. Because it's not enough to show up once when everything in your space is totally harmonious. It's something you have to re-experience improvisationally each new moment. Because the me that began speaking a few minutes ago doesn't even exist anymore. That dude's long gone. I'm not the same being that I was. Earth isn't in the same space that it was when I began. And so you need to, what are you doing? So my invitation for this Mars square Pluto moment is let it summon you to the warm fire of the awakening of humanity. Let it rescue you from the walking dead of our time. Let it fill you with deep promise and awareness that there is an authentic species dwelling deep inside the false humanity that has taken things over. There is a real you inside the impostor. And let's devote this time to claiming our absolute right to living the life our soul signed up for and none other. Any questions? Marcella, is there ways people can ask questions?
Yeah, there are. You can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question, or you can raise your hand and I can unmute you as well. Either way. If you're calling in, you can press *6 on your telephone to unmute.
Hi, Mark and Marcella. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi. My name shows up as Leah. I'm using the name Saries, but it's all obviously it's going to be both. Um, anyway, first, thanks for having the group. It's my first time to join. Thank
Welcome.
you. I for the last part of what you were saying, the invitation for, by the way, what is the date for the Mars square Pluto?
It was this morning on the East Coast.
Okay. I guess having had a challenging experience of Pluto, after the last thing you said, what I would look for in that also is that that there's an authentic life and that there's an abundance of life force that we can tap, because it's one of the loops I get pulled back into, which I feel like is in part Pluto, is that everything is a drain, and then that pulls for the slavery of survival fear, that everything's running out, or it's draining, or it's not enough, that it's not sustainable. And so I guess just continuing from what you said and seeing if you have a comment on this for Pluto, the thing that I'm always looking to come back to and affirm and energize for myself is the place where, even here, where physical form times out, that there is an abundant flow of life force and sustenance, just the pull. I guess my question, just if you have a comment on Pluto, it feels like the pull of drains and depletion, energy depletion of resources, is a place where I get pulled back into sort of survival habits and living.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, and welcome into the circle. It's a beguiling illusion of our time that we don't have enough, that we're running out of everything. And it creates a scarcity mode that has to be corrected by awakening to how much you already have. I mean, it's a miracle. Just think of all the things in the universe that had to come together for you to even be alive. It's just staggering. And you would feel that miracle if you had gotten into a horrible car accident and spent 2 years in a coma, and then woken up from it. Just even to be able to drool would be a miracle. Even to be able to cry, to fall flat on your face would be a miracle. To be alive. And so that scarcity mode of our time has to be countered by the deep opening inside you as to the treasure of your body and your life. You can feel. You're not numb. You can walk. You actually have legs. You can even cry. You have a heart. And that is a wealth, a multidimensional palace. Your nature, looked at clairvoyantly, is an intersection of ancestors and past lives and angels and spirit guides and the dead and the living and the trees and future selves and dimensions beyond the physical plane. You're this walking grand central station of the soul. You can tap so much more than the limited resources of our age would have you think, because that's one way people stay conditioned. But when you open and realize there's a wealth of creative force within you, if you painted a picture every day for the rest of your life, by the time you died, you'd have an infinite more amount of pictures left inside you. You could never run out. You could never run out. If you made love in a deep, soulful way with a lover every day for the rest of your life, you would never explore every possible variation on how to make love by the time that you died. You're a walking micro universe in the form of a human being. And when you claim that inheritance, it will heal and produce an antidote for the idea that everything's running out and we don't have enough. It takes a powerful shamanic opening deep inside to counter that dominant feeling of our time. It's not always easy to pull off. You know, but a little bit of ayahuasca or acid or a smile from a stranger,
Yeah.
or a dog who loves you, or dancing naked under the full moonlight. You know, there's lots of modes that can help crack you out of that,
Yeah.
out of that illusion of scarcity, because there's so much more that wants to happen and you're totally a part of it. Thank you for that question.
Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions? I appreciate each one of you, the faces that I see on my screen and the ones I can't see who are tuning in through Facebook and telephone. You enrich Marcella and my Vermont existence. You bring news from afar right here into our hearth and bring us medicine to work with. I deeply appreciate your presence, your stories, your experience. I am here and I see you. And I see you too.
Someone really wanted to be seen today.
Yes. And thank you for joining us. This is Soul Level Astrologer Mark Borax with the Cosmic Weather Report, CWR Live, for Tuesday, November 5th, Mars square Pluto. Please join me next time, about this same time, next Tuesday, for my next transmission. Thank you. May all your karma turn to grace.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Rowan.
Bye.
Look, it's Maria. Bye and bye.
Love you, Rowan.
Love you too. Go. Go.